Hey, welcome. Episode Corey, I'm still lost on what episode. It's season
Episode
two.
number 9, Brett,
Oh,
for
bam.
season
Episode
2
nine. There we
of
go. Season two, episode
2022.
nine. Live. You betcha. Sitting in my hotel room at Oklahoma City. I've been at the Oklahoma Youth Expo, and I was a little concerned that maybe wouldn't make it here tonight. And hey, I'm here. I wasn't gonna miss this opportunity to sit and visit with the crew from Mid-Continent Farm. So I hurried every chance I got today, and uh, and I told the guys, let's hurry. I need to get out of here. So glad to be here.
You bet.
So,
It's going to be a good one tonight.
oh man, yeah, it's be exciting. Good crew. So, yep, tonight's episode, as you can tell, Matt Lautner Cattle is on with us again. You'll see a lot of him. He likes what we do, and hey, when we put it out there, he threw it out there and said I want in. So you'll hear a little bit from him after a while. Um, as I just talked about, Corey, those frames are still up for sale. They are spoken for. We have a list. Paige has a list. The spring's pretty well booked up. So if you're wanting to do something, let us know, and we'll do our best to slide you in somewhere that's open. So
You bet.
that's what I know. Coffee shop. Here we go. Segment one. Oklahoma Youth Expo going on right now, Corey.
You bet. Just ended today there, and Brett, as you well know, Supreme Heifer was this afternoon there. The
Mhm.
spring champion percentage heifer was the key female, shown by Madison Norvell, driving 80 daughter, raised by Green Oaks out there in Ohio. The reserve was the percentage semi, shown by Pepper Elmore, a relentless daughter. And the third overall was a style key female, the reserve key female, shown by Tyler Pembroke.
Brett, yeah, Pembroke, Brett
Pembroke.
Pembroke.
Yep. Then
Yep.
in the purebred side, uh, Madison Norvell again with the purebred
Mhm.
Angus female. The reserve was the reserve Angus, shown by Jeremy Clark's daughter, Carly Clark, and the third was another familiar name, Kelton Arthur, with his champion Charlet female.
Yeah, she was also champion bred known. So,
Oh, really? Wow.
oh yeah, she was that Charlet was champion bred known. But yeah, good set of them.
Hey, and in
Steers
that,
will pick up here. They start moving in, I think, tonight. So they'll show
oh
them Thursday, Friday, which we got some news about that, don't we?
yeah, we got Dave Geyer. Had a conflict there this week. Normally he commentates that steer show down there, and we got the call to help out with that. So yeah,
That's
Brett and I
right.
are gonna hustle down there to Oklahoma City and take in the steer show and help commentate that. So we are pumped
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely.
Hey,
Houston Livestock Show just
yeah,
wrapped up, Corey.
yeah. I tell
Supreme
you,
female down there.
yeah, that was a limousine female, a heifer that goes back to the Riverstone Charm cow family. And,
Right.
just kind of ironic, the bull that Matt Lautner Cattle wants to highlight tonight is the Jumpstart sire. The limousine breed is on fire
That's
right
right.
now due to a lot of it due to Riverstone Charm and what she has done for the industry.
Right.
She's a full sister to this bull that Sarah Sullivan showed was Supreme in Louisville, and then the picture right there is Charmed herself that was Supreme in Louisville. The only mother-daughter duo that's been Supreme at the Louisville North American Stock Show to date. Um,
Yeah.
this line of genetics of limousine cattle could phenotypically pass on quality to the key percentage key breed, the maintainer, or percentage Simmental breeds of cattle can be incorporated in a multi-facet breeds. Uh, there's just a lot of good in this breed. We've had him there
Yep.
at 605 earlier this year. A bull that offers a lot of quality in the cattle industry today.
Yeah.
Contact MLC Matt Lautner Cattle to order your semen, and that is for sale at $50 a unit right now.
That's right. But I tell you what, I don't know that there's been a cow as of recently. We talk about The other day we visited and talked about the influence that the Kelly cows had on the club calf business. We've talked about what, there's just some sure enough high quality females that we can talk about. What's the cow's name? Red Thunder there at
Udell.
Udell.
Yep.
There's just some pivotal females in this industry, and I think I never guess I would have sat here and thought that a Limousine Female would have been in that talk.
Yeah,
But
it
holy
is
smokers.
It is a
The
fact.
Riverstone Charm deal is, I don't know, as we'll find out later, it may just be something in the water in Kansas. Isn't that where she was from?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't
Originated
know. I
in
think we'll
Canada. Originated in Canada, but then Ratliff showed her. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah. Well, thanks to Matt Lautner for that tonight. Contact him for that semen on that bull. I know they're excited. Clinton Shorter partnered up with him, raised by the Ratliff family there in Kansas. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But hey, I'll tell you what, we talk about coffee shop, we talk about interesting things, and we talk about news and whatnot. But well, I'll tell you what, when my phone went off yesterday of the news of passing of quite possibly one of the legends of this business, the industry lost Jimmy Lithicum, JCL. Limousine breeder forever. I'm here. We're talking about Limousine again. Red Angus breeder. You see him right there. I think that was that 2 years ago in Kansas City?
I think that was this year.
This year.
I think it was this year. Yeah.
Okay. Sure enough, could have. Yeah, I think that is right. That's Tim Fitzgerald that sorted the Reds this year, and that's him right there. But
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, a guy, sure, your time's coming. But to lose somebody with the influences Jimmy's had on a lot of us, I know it hit close to home to me being from Oklahoma. And I mean, I tell you what,
he just was one of the most genuine human beings, and just always like, I mean, you and I, we have bad days, and we maybe don't come off as that smiley, in a good mood all the time type of guy. But Jimmy was just the type of guy, no matter the day, you could walk up to him and he'd greet you with a smile, and just always a great personality.
I got to tell a real quick story about him. Oh, Joe Devine tells a story when Joe helped him there at Welch one year. He said they were driving, they had a flat tire. I'm going to mess this story up a little bit. Joe will fix me, but they had this flat tire, and it didn't matter because Jimmy was in a hurry to get where they were headed to. And he said they had to all jacked up, and I think they just had 2 lug nuts on. And Jimmy said he was telling them to go. They could put the rest of the lug nuts on later. And so, those that didn't know Jimmy, he was deaf, and so he had a heck of a way of talking to you, and he could visit with you pretty good too for a deaf guy.
Oh yeah.
So our condolences to the Lithcom family, Cheryl. I know they'll continue on and they'll move forward, but industry icon right there. So
hey, we got our next segment. Where in the world is Kent Janke? We got we're gonna launch our what would you call it? A Where in the World is Kent Janke?
An intro video.
Video.
He was worthy of his own intro, and
Gee, many Christmas.
He's masked up.
He is.
I'm actually on a airport shuttle. I'm just getting back to the Denver airport, and so my traveling partner had his mask on. He said, "Get your mask on." So I got my mask on. So sorry.
You just left John Lee's bull sale, Lee Cattle's bull sale out there in Rush, Colorado.
Yep. And I'm on the shuttle right now with see you, Colonel. So Colonel Bonham and he's just getting off here right now, and so anyway, so I'm waiting to get up to the Southwest terminal. I fly back into Pittsburgh tonight. So I left my rig sitting there, and then we had John Lee's bull sale today. It was we sold, I think we sold 85 big 2-year-old bulls, and we averaged right at 5. So it was good.
Good.
Good deal.
But I'll be in Pennsylvania the rest of the week, and then I'll be at the Ohio Beef Expo this weekend. So anyway, yep, Ohio Beef Expo. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. There'll be people that'll be lined up with their semen tanks. A lot of them will have the semen tanks and the baby strollers, and mama's carrying the baby, and they'll line up for 100 foot, 200 foot, waiting to come see us, and it's just the craziest thing in the world. You just can't imagine. And so we'll set that up Thursday night, and then we'll be there on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm going to be kind of traveling around Ohio. And then, so I'll be there. If anybody's watching this, and they'll know we're going to be at the Ohio Beef Expo. But I'll be in Pennsylvania tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday all day, and going to see our customers in Pennsylvania. And then I'll be going into Columbus on Thursday night. So,
gotcha.
So where in the world of Kent Jakey? This is the life of Kent Jakey. I'm on an airport shuttle right now.
Awesome. Well, that's good. That's good. Colorado by day and Pennsylvania by night.
Yeah, I get in at 1 o'clock this morning. So if people want to live this life, just come on.
Come on. Awesome.
So yeah, but we've seen some. Hey, this week, guys, I did go to the MAJAC. There's a big show that's in Harrisonburg, Virginia. They call it the MAJAC, and it's the Mid-Atlantic Junior Angus Classic. And so they show, I think they had right at 400 heifers and right at 200 steers they showed. And I went down there for a day. So I did go to that show, and Randy Molinex judged that. And I got a chance to go be there for the morning when we had really bad weather. We got about 8 inches of snow that day, and it was a nasty, nasty day. And nobody wanted to show me calves, so I went to that show.
Right. Gotcha.
So anyway, but well, boys,
you have safe travels, Kent, and we'll be waiting to hear the report on next Monday about Ohio.
Yeah, Monday I'll be somewhere in Ohio, and we'll kind of bring you a big update on that. And so hey, thanks for having me on there. I love the intro.
Yeah, good. Grease the wheels, why don't you?
Grease the wheels, baby.
That's right. You betcha. Bye, Jake. Oh, God.
Hey, we're going to bust into this.
Let's get
sale report. Hey, Charlie Boyd, them guys down there in Maslack, Kentucky, down there, they had their bull sale this week. Angus bulls averaged 72.10. Herefords bulls averaged 65.10. Harold Herefords out there, big bull sale. Sell 132 head of bulls, average 56.70. High sellers lot 58. A yearling bull brings 23,000. 75 commercial open heifers average 14.52. 28 registered heifers average 42.79 with a high of 11,000.
Yep.
Your buddies down there in Yukon had their big spring sale this week.
Did. Yep, they did. Gerald Callahan and his crew at Express Ranches had their annual honor roll sale held each year during the Oklahoma Youth Expo. They sell 18 Hereford heifers, average 67.50 and a high lot of 25,000. They sell 86 Angus heifers for an average of $15,064. Their high lot was a first class daughter, bring 142,000.
Hey, now this next deal, this has got to be a misprint or something here.
It's legit. I talked to Miles, and if you know of Miles, he's going to tell you nothing but the truth. 2 King Angus females, both sired by Here I Am, out of an express donor that they flushed. They sell 2 of them, average 15.5 with a high lot of 19.5. 106 heifer calves, gross 1.4 million to average $13,600.
Wow.
So, yep, that was the express honor roll sale.
I figured that smelled a Miles shout right there.
I think it did. I think maybe it had something to do with Callahan judging Fort Worth. He was in love with them Here I Ams and said, he was going to get the EPDs right on him so Wade could sell some more juice. I think that's what it was. It was something about the Cavies direct number. He was going to do something with that, and the dollar. What do you call that? The dollar pull or the dollar what?
Dollar C and dollar B. And
I don't know what it is. It's something. But anyway, congratulations to those guys. Hey, segment 5. We've kind of humped up as fast as me and you can go, I guess.
Yeah. 15:43 in. That's if you call that
bad. We had a lot to talk about.
We did. Yep. Hey,
but I tell you what. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah,
Tell us who it is.
This is. I've been pumped about this since we started this deal. We have the entire Mid-Continent crew: Greg Brigham, Tucker, Garrett, the whole real life Yellowstone Dutton-like family.
Yeah, like I got it on my sheet here. Like, help us out real quick. Like,
hey, surely there's somebody worse than us in it.
I mean, so I'm serious. Like Greg, I mean, so you're like the John Dutton of the crew. I mean, Brig, does that make you Casey?
I think I died.
Tucker, I hate to say it, dude, but it's Jamie.
I'm not adopted though. I mean, at least that I know of. Unless they've been lying to me my whole life. We could have a Jamie Dutton situation on our hands.
Does that make Garrett rip?
Yeah. Well, surely he's not the one that got killed off in the first episode. That'd be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, that was
that strong more like Casey.
Oh God!
We have a pretty good rip. I'd say Josh. He lives and dies for the brand.
Hey, wouldn't Han would be Rip, wouldn't he?
Jimmy. he back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he said. I got you. Hey guys, on a serious note, when Corey and I started this gig, you guys were one of the very first people that we talked about getting on here and visiting with and learning from. I mean, it is. We can laugh about you being Yellowstone, and it's because your guys' personalities are so awesome, and what you do for this business is great. But as we get into this, Greg, give us the background just real quick on how and why Mid-Continent Farm, and then we'll buzz off.
Well, I mean, it's I'll give you the fast version, but for instance, we were in this county. I guess my great grandfather had registered Herefords here in the county. He sold a registered Hereford bull back in the early 1900s for $500 was the cost of a Model T Ford pickup. And you know, I guess it's a little bit in our blood. Now we didn't build off of that per se. My dad went off on his own, and he was the quintessential club calf dad to come and, you know, he loved to chase and loved to find good calves to show. And then we started buying a few show heifers, and he went and got us a loan at the bank, and we went and bought a potload of bred heifers from Mile High Canina, and then we had some short-term cows around, those few show heifers, and that's kind of how we got our start. I can remember a buddy of mine going to school out in Hayes, and after I was probably the boys' age, and they said, so-and-so out there says you guys have 1,000 cows now. And I said, I couldn't even imagine having 1,000 cows at that time, you know, and here we are, you know. So, yeah, it's just a crazy ride. So my brother and I, we didn't, you know, just kind of peeled it back and never quit, you know. And you know, it's kind of funny, you know, and this may lead up to another question that I just got a kick out of Express Ranch selling those Here I Am heifers. And people always ask us, you know, why we even, you know, our Angus deal got pretty good there for a while. And they asked me, why are you even messing with them club calves? And I said, we got to have those to pay, so we can afford to be Angus breeders. I think Mr. Funk must have finally figured it out. Or Gerald, he knew all along, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's awesome.
yeah. And I'll tell you, that it's a kind of embarrassing to me to be compared to Yellowstone. We certainly weren't. We've kind of built this whole thing from ground up, including all the land we got. Started with my dad, and what I was going to say, he kind of went out on his own. But anyway, long story short, that very first scene's what got me hooked on Yellowstone, and they had that massive wreck, and he had to shoot his horse, and he walked over and he leaned against the fence post, and he said, "The things we lose to keep you fed." He was talking to his cattle. The things we lose to keep you fed. Well, I think all of us can kind of, and maybe more nowadays, it's more the things we do without to keep our cattle fed.
Oh, absolutely.
They've got a good message on that show. It's crazy, but
Right.
Anyway, that's it.
Well, hey, Greg, it's no doubt you've raised 3 high quality sons, and all of them have done something a little bit different with their lives. Tell us a little bit about each one. And when they were growing up, did you foresee how they would turn out and what they would do with their lives when they were younger, or how were they different as kids, or?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They all had a fair amount of success with the cattle deal. They all had a good eye. They all had very successful judging careers. Garrett, I was 20 years old when I had Garrett, and I was pretty driven, and I was hard on him. He had he always, he'd bring home his weekly readers and tell me about all these science things that were going on, and and I'd get mad at him and tell him it was GD propaganda, he never really. It was so funny because he never really, I can remember, he was always interested in science, and pretty much at a young age, I think he wanted to be a vet, and that's that direction he was headed, and he wasn't as interested. It's funny because he probably wasn't as interested in the calves and the showing, because it was work, it was work to them. It's kind of like my dad burnt me out on farming. I can't imagine these guys. The cattle thing never got to be fun for them. And but yeah, here he is back home, and neck deep in the cattle deal. So, and he probably turned out to be the most competitive of all of them. Go ahead. Anyway, then Brigham, he just kind of, at my hip his whole growing up. Just wouldn't be with me or his grandpa, seeing what was going on. And I know he did. I know Debbie tells a story about potty training Brigham, and all she had to do was tell, my dad said, well, he's not going with me until he, he learns how to, until he's potty trained, learns how not to shit his diaper, and on the potty chair so he could go with his grandpa. So
15 years later.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna guess Tucker at a young age he was wanting to go to men's clothing stores and
No, the toilet store with mom.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He was good until the Crocs came out.
He was really small when he was born and about died in the womb. We had high nitrates in our well, didn't know it. Weighed 4.9 ounces. And Debbie literally had to follow him around to keep him. Yeah, 4 pounds. That's what I said.
Yeah.
4 pounds, 9 ounces. And keep him fed. And so he was pretty, he never got far for a while there from mama's wing. When he got older, we got to teasing him. we'd be going to do chores or doing something, and then I don't know how this our humor's screwed up, but anyway, he was going to town with his mom, and she was going to pick out toilets or toilet lids. So then the two other boys, every time he'd come around, oh, what's how's toilet boy doing? Teasing him. And but yeah.
And now I'm at the swamp, the toilet of it all.
But definitely, I tell everybody that, his best. Everybody always underestimates Tucker because they think he's a screw off, and he's so good, natured, and it was hard. In fact, I never spanked him once that I can remember. I fake spanked him once. We made a deal. We went into the bedroom, and I said, I'm going to hit this bed, and you got a wail. Of course, he was already crying because he knew I was pissed, and but I couldn't spank him. That's just how good a kid he was. He was just so good-hearted, and so I hit the bed, and he'd scream, and those Debbie's outside. Both the boys had their ears right pressed up against the door.
First butt whipping for Tucker.
Yeah, his first fake butt whipping, but he was the other boys. Everybody thinks of them, in sports and stuff, and he was the only. Oh, look, it's making him cry.
Laughing too hard.
But anyway, they always underestimated him. He was 135 pounds down tackle on the football team, and he was all league. So they double teamed. The funniest thing you ever see in your life is putting 275, 200-pound linemen on 135-pound kid.
That's right.
Yeah, it was worth going to the game just to watch him trip the quarterback sometimes before he even got the ball. So, he did well in judging and showing. He's the only, I think he's still the only kid to ever win both rings at the Kansas State Fair, both steer and heifer the same year.
Oh, really?
Wow.
So
There's been families do it.
yeah,
Never
he was the
the
only.
same kid, I don't think.
So
Tucker, what he's trying to say is you're still his favorite. It's okay. We love you still.
I don't have a favorite. You guys know that, but if my inheritance is a piece of pie, Tucker might get just a little bigger slice. That's all.
Is that how you wrote the will?
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Sign it.
Yeah, he said, I'm sure it's going like that. So,
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, so it's no, if anybody follows you on social media or anything or knows anything about you guys, you have these beloved Power Cat family. Was that always a given, or was there ever a chance to slip off, or was that's how it is?
Well, we all went to Butler first, and we were all coached by Chris Mullinex at Butler. And then we all went to K-State and were coached by Shockey. We had some different coaches. I think Garrett had Garrett Parsons. I had Brandon Callis, and I don't remember who Tucker's.
Hyatt Frobos.
But so, yeah, I don't know. Manhattan was an hour from home. It's where we always went shopping as kids. It was a neat town. I wouldn't say we went to a lot of football games, but my grandparents on my mom's side always did. And it was just a given. It was close to home. We were all still pretty involved with needing money. And the only way we could get money was get a job on our own or come home and work enough on the weekends to be able to get through college the next week. And so really it was kind of a given, honestly. I mean, for relativeness and et cetera. I don't know about you guys, Tucker, Garrett.
Well, I find it interesting. At K-State, Garrett was Brigham was Garrett's roommate. And then at the tail end of my K-State career, I was also Garrett's roommate. So because Garrett was there for vet school. So we all got to be roommates in a little tiny trailer house. And I still remember Garrett getting mad. I used his fancy knife to karate chop champagne open to impress some girls one time, and he was pissed. But it was funny.
Oh gosh.
Garrett,
Yeah, there's not a legacy there, though. I mean, my brother and I both went to Kansas State. We both went to Colby, kind of the same. That was kind of the start of the old junior college, senior college judging career. But
who coached you
Still
there?
have the noise canceling headphones for all Brigham Tucker's parties, so I could study for vet school all the way through it.
yeah, so it's kind of legacy that it wasn't a given. Yeah, my folks didn't go to college, my grandparents, but my grandmother, my mom's mom, Dorothy, she worked in the I think it was either the poultry or the extension as a secretary at Manhattan, lived in Manhattan. So it was good. We had family down there. But
who coached at Colby, and then
Nick Wells was my.
That's what I was going to say. That would have been back in the day.
Nick Wells was my junior college coach, and then Doc Abel, who's still doing good. We were at K-State ball game the other night, and his granddaughter and his daughter-in-law were there back in one of where you go have a beer. I don't know what those rooms are called, but so I had. They said, well, I don't know if I should say this. Maybe I can. She goes, "Oh, he's got a girlfriend." Yeah, these 80.
I thought you were going to say Nick Wells' old saying about Oklahoma. We can tell the boys offline.
Well, hey, like you said, Greg, you started with that potload of Kiania cows, and you guys have grown to have sure one of the most sought after club calf sales of the season every fall, and you've grown that club calf herd exponentially. And then you dove in to the Jones Stewart Angus ranch as well. Tell us a little bit about two different programs that seem so much different. How those two tied together and the decision on that deal.
Well, again, I think probably Gerald Callahan might have a better answer than me. Diving into the club calf business, but no, I'm just kidding. But no, obviously we all know the problems that come with pushing that envelope. And I used to, back in the day, I used to say too much is not enough. I mean, it was just you just couldn't. And of course, we weren't working with these, these genetic defect cattle and that were so off the charts crazy. We were just trying to make our clean ones basically look like that, and we all know that incredible bloom that those calves have, even when you see them on the cow. It used to be you'd see 1 in 1,000, that you could tell and that had that incredible bloom, and we sought after that, and we pushed all the envelopes and all the buttons to get those kind, and left some things on the table in terms of production and value, and our cow herd was getting big, and it became pretty evident pretty fast that you were going to have to specialize to either have a huge volume of cattle, which is what we were doing, not personally own them. We did big contract deals. We were AIing over 1,000 cows a year and then going around and cherry picking, out of, the popular AI sires at the time, or even some of our own bulls. And and then, those herds we were working with they were tremendous production, real ranches that were just trying to make a little extra buck. And we got to where we contracted all their calves, and we even offered the cleanup bulls for free. So that was really the base of our cow herd. We would turn out a little more maternal type main Anjou bulls, and in the day even we turned out some Chianina bulls that some of those lines of cows are still around here that still do a nice job. But so that's how we kind of we knew you needed a whole bunch of cows, or of course embryo transplant was just starting to kind of become a thing, and so we needed the numbers to get the quality, anybody in this business that was in that business at the time that we were starting knew you had to breed a lot of cows to get 20 or 30 top level calves to sell on the sale, and that's how we did it. And now that's kind of morphed and to answer your question, that kind of morphed into even more specialization and even more problems, as we all know, in terms of calving ease and all sorts of things that we could talk about and make a list that everybody, I'm sure, that listens understands. And we literally couldn't find the type of Angus that we needed to counteract that, to keep our base cow herd relevant. So we just built them, and that's what I mean. And you still have trouble finding those kind of Angus. A lot of the better Angus that phenotypically that are very successful create a lot of the same problems that we had growing up, building our cow herd, and not that there isn't some in betweens there, and some of them are really good cattle, and their sons and daughters and granddaughters are some of those on the edge bulls. And we had one of Hot Rod, that grandsons and granddaughters that, probably two best of our donor cows are granddaughters of Hot Rods, and they're calving these cows, their numbers stack up. They do a nice job. So yes, not that you can't do that, but that was our deal there. That was the sole purpose. I took a partner. We were finding some cows we really liked, and he bought half of our registered herd, and we put them out in western Nebraska, and they had to be real cows. And I can remember it was a perfect deal because Ron, he didn't have the sheets in front of him. He didn't know which cow had the high selling bull the year before, or which one did this, or which one was a Pathfinder, and to make a long story short, if I'd go back and I'd say, hey, whatever happened to that 280 cow? And he goes, oh, I shipped her. She was open, and I said, what happened to Rodman? He goes, well, he didn't pass the semen check. We can't.
Holy smokes!
That's just how which was really how you should, run it. That was maybe a little extreme on that Rodman deal. We had 4,000 or 5,000 units put up, and we were selling a good bit of him. That was, of course, Titan sire. But he was dwindling off. So, it was really a good move. The bull was the peak of his position, and we'd have kept him, or if he'd have been at Washington, we'd have kept him around till he was dragging a leg or something and wasn't worth $200. And he probably cashed a $1,500 check on him, so.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
So that
found him off at the local vet clinic for him to work on for free.
Yeah. Just so
I remember when we transitioned to bull sales during spring break, because all growing up, spring break we'd take this big old family trip to Colorado to go skiing, or New Mexico to go skiing, and then Dad started thinking, oh man, we got a week off of school. That's a pretty good time to have all my boys bring their college friends home and get some cheap labor out of them. So we started calling Binkelman, Nebraska, South Padre, Nebraska. Told everybody we were going to, a nice, fancy, sandy beach in South Padre.
Right.
They had a lot of fun too. Don't let them kid you, but the girls were a little fluffier and had a lot more clothes on.
Jeez.
Hey,
Garrett, we've heard your dad. He's give us the old what fors on how they started this business, and let's listen about some of you guys. He talked about you being the oldest one and the one he was probably the toughest on in terms of not making this business fun. And here you are. You are literally
still tries
deep
to
every day.
whip my ass today, every time you turn around, he just can't catch me anymore. It's getting kind of old.
Gotcha.
But he's I still turn to him when I've got questions about business, about cattle, about anything. I mean he's don't let his head get too big, but he's literally pretty much a genius and has seen a lot that and experienced a lot that most people that I encounter haven't. And so very, very big person to admire. But with that, you know, we've got two chiefs in the corner up there, and I inherited in my dad's chiefdom or stubbornness as well. And so you know, it was, and like he said, I've always been interested in science and a little bit more. And you know, I had two choices. You know, everybody always you know, makes fun of their vets in terms of how hard it might be, but I was like, I could always go back and work on the farm. And so, but no, here I am back. You know, I had opportunities to work at different pharmaceutical companies and different industry businesses and such, and had those experiences through college, and it was just ready to come home. It made sense. And so here I'm still doing my own thing, but playing an intricate role, or try to anyways, with the family operation there. So
at what point did vet school click? I mean, at what point did you say, hey, I think I found a niche that allows me to do this, but it allows me to be an integral part at home too?
You know, I don't know. I've always wanted to be a vet. I know I mean, my mom and dad drove them nuts. I'd bring wild animals home. I'd bring ducks home, I'd bring cats, dogs, you name it, try to fix them, you know, calves. You know, when dad found out I was interested, I think I was probably 12 or 13, and you know, we got to get our heifer to go out there. So I'd grab Brig so dad could sleep, and we'd start pulling calves. And same came with you know, cosmetic dehorns. When he found out that that's what I wanted to do, I did a heck of a lot of them. I don't do them as much for him anymore because he doesn't like the way I charge, but so he's doing some of them now. But yeah, it's just always, you know, going and spending time in Washington, D.C. and North Carolina on swine farms, in Arkansas. You know, you learn to really appreciate home and how a lot slower paced it is, a lot more intricate in terms of the relationships that you have, not only with family, but with friends and clients. And there's just a little bit of difference living in the city and the fast pace and the clients there versus what you get in your hometown. So, yeah.
I always say that Garrett's a way too good of a businessman to be a vet. But
I'll learn from you.
I'll tell you, you know, I will brag on him. He went to work. It was a 4 veterinarian clinic practice, and they were hiring some young guys that they'd last a little while. They couldn't hack it. They hired Garrett right out of school, gave him a good job, and I mean, as of about 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, he owns the whole clinic. And you know, they had some fingers and some other things that they had to have, you know, more vets, but they you know, for the last 2 years he did all. He was 100% on call. He ran that whole clinic by himself. It used to be a 4-man practice, so he knows how to work and make money.
That's awesome.
Well,
Hey,
you can't do that.
Finally got a new vet, thanks to his older brother or younger brother.
Yeah, I committed first, Brig. Just remember that. Right? No, I can't do it. Is the same with, you know, Dad and Brig. You know, we've got excellent help. I mean, they're talking about Josh Englert as their rip, and that's no doubt. You know, and I've got a team here that I can trust, that allows me to extend my hands into more things. You know, you can't manage it and do it all on your own, but You surround yourself with people that are trustworthy, that are hard workers, that are competent, and you use their strengths as well, and that's been a huge part of it. And then like I've said, I reach out to my dad for business advice, and Tucker for legal advice, and Brigham for husbandry advice. I mean, they've got a wealth of knowledge, and that's what makes all of it work. So,
Right.
Hey, Brigham, we're all aware of you guys' sales that you have, and about just where it makes me tired just looking at your Facebook page in the fall. The amount of cattle that you picture of various breeds and shapes and sizes, just absolutely amazing. Tell us a little bit about the direction, what you foresee. It seems like you guys are venturing into a lot of breeds, kind of what you see the future of the program holding a little bit.
Well, that's not a loaded question. There's a lot there, but I don't know. The Angus deal has always been its separate sector. Them cows are now here in Washington, Kansas, but they calve at a separate place. We pair them out, and we calve probably in 3 or 4 different places. Don't have a barn one to calve in, so weather's got to be nice, etc. And them cows actually spend their summer on a ranch by themselves that we own between here and Manhattan. And so everything's completely separate on that. Most of our other breeds, I would say from obviously the club calf thing and stuff like that, most our donor cows are clean. There's a handful of them dirty ones that are sisters that steers that won. That actually molded their way up their path. They're now 4 or 5 year olds proving themselves to raise stuff on just our turnout bulls, to the point where a guy probably ought to try to up the ante on some of those. But so like most of our other breeds, our Charolais, 90% of it's done through the E2 program. I would say a high percentage of our main trainers and stuff like that's rolled through the ET program to some older genetics. Most of our cows are probably at least a quarter main, you know what I mean? Or of the ones that we're using as donors, or the ones that them base cows. We rolled through for a little bit here in the last 10 years with some Simmentals, purebred Simmentals. Only bought purebred Simmental bulls. And the only reason why is the cattle were getting bigger. And we had, data tests. You focus on cows that graze year round, that breed back, right? Big cows don't work. I mean, they just won't work to graze year round. They got to have some point, probably a catch up. Now, obviously, there's some differences, but we can, for the most part, graze year round on these cows. So we needed just a shot more size without maybe losing everything, and that probably helped. There's some blowback from the stuff. We're getting a little more color in some things, and maybe some fertility every once in a while. So we're having to probably cull some of those cows a little harder than a guy wants to, based off of it. But nothing, we typically the good portion of our club calf stuff is done with our ETs. I think the only club calf style bull we've turned out in the last 4 years has been Rockstar. The rest have all been purebreds of a breed, or a high percentage of a breed, to where we have papered progeny, or a mom is not here, but she takes care of everything behind the scenes in terms of that. When it comes to sale prep, it's like anybody. I mean, we don't creep feed anything, so it's all done post weaning. That's probably why we have our steer sale in October rather than late August or September. It's also why our female sales in late November gives us enough spread between our steer sale and our female sale to have time to focus on, those as well. And like I said, we got a great crew that helps with that. It seems like every year, fall, if there's something we're missing or whatever, Dad and I will spend 2 to 3 weeks in the vehicle, and not in a row, a couple days, we'll just decide to go look at this set of calves, go look here, and find some stuff that we know we don't have that we need to have to help fit the mold or corner some markets that we maybe don't have that day. Older, more mature steers, maybe some older, more mature heifers for our female sale. But they're both live auctions, so they sell on one day. They got to go look good on one day. But they also have to work. And the nice thing about like our sales is they're not in 10 different pens getting fed 10 different rations. They're competing with each other. Them heifers, you come look at them, they're all in one pen. You'll spend a couple hours sorting through everything, you know. And so we let them work. You know, the cows, you know, work for us. We don't work for our cows essentially in the long term. But so it's fun. It's interesting. I think there's only maybe one other steer sale in the nation that's consecutively ran longer than ours. But we're one of the two within a couple years apart of our outfit in Texas, but we've never not had a live auction. And then I got a text. I got to mention it because obviously a gal from Nebraska, good friends, Crystal, says, I got to use this. And it's always funny because maybe when you've had a couple drinks at the bar and they're talking about a cow and you don't know how to be relevant to the conversation, they bring up one. I said, oh, that has hot rod in it. Check your pedigrees. Or that has check your pedigrees. You know, like there is a good chance, and I'm not saying it's 100% or even close, but there's a good chance in a lot of those genetics, some of the main genetics, some of the key genetics. I mean, I would say close to 90-some% of the Angus genetics go back to hot rod that are winning these days. Maybe there's a difference, but if you would just take the blanket of every Angus show in America, you go back to that bull. So I had to mention that. Thank you for reminding me. But it's the only punchline I ever have when I'm up against guys that have, you know, that are up here and we're just down here. You know what I mean?
Check your pedigrees.
Check your pedigrees.
Check your pedigrees.
You know,
we're proud to say that probably with 90% of our sales. I mean, you know, we still go out and you know, we all know what it takes to keep the level of quality up there. But 90% of the calves in the sale are either raised steer, probably 70 to 80% of them raised steer, and they come from one cooperator in our herd. So, and then we fluff it up with some trader calves. And
not many people know, but Hardcore was he a Jayhawk?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
the name of the bull? And
Yeah.
that was the mid-continent bull, and most of the main breed in terms of the show ring right now, you know, that'd be I-80, Hard Whiskey, Garth, and all that stuff would derive from Jayhawk.
and Mark Corey's neighbor owned that.
Yeah. He's bull. He was a Black Debbie, and you know, not many people know this. Black Debbie was a full sister to Warhorse's mother.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was back when the mains and the shorthorns were kind of cross registering, and
One was red and one was black, and
one was a 3/4 shorthorn, the other one no shorthorn.
yeah.
Just because of the
just because of the color. Yeah.
Right.
And even here I am. Here I am goes back to our bull ruler bull that we bought from Jeff Adams, and came from Milk Starman back in the day, which was kind of interesting. It's ways back there. It's there.
way deep. But yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, the check your pedigree deal is going to come out again on this show, just so you know, because that's legit. I mean, that is truthfully legit on a whole lot of what we're talking about, and pretty much it's relevant just about anybody we're going to have on here. So, but I like that. Hey, Tucker, tell us something real quick. We've heard already you're the favorite. Your dad did not.
No,
He
I'm not
did the
the
worst
favorite. I'm
job
the most
ever.
talented, and they love me the most. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, he did like the most absolute worst job ever of debunking that you are your favorite. But hey, in terms of what you do, very successful in ag law, and some know, some don't. you're now in Washington D.C. on so-called the Battleground. Tell us about what's going on in your life and how ag law it affects us each day too. So.
Yeah, so I gotta say I'm always constantly pulled. You know, right now I'm senior ag policy advisor for Senator Roger Marshall. You know, but ag law is also such a big niche that, you know, it'd be pretty easy to come back home, hang a shingle, and, you know, basically practice law for cattle producers as well. So I'm constantly pulled back and forth. Do I want to hang my own shingle? Do I like the policy piece? And, you know, I gotta say it's pretty intoxicating to be involved in the policy work. You know, I didn't necessarily have this plan. It kind of stumbled upon it accidentally. You know, after law school, we had the county attorney back home basically begging me to come back and be county attorney because she didn't want to be anymore. But then the Livestock Association there in Kansas, you know, wanted a lawyer and a lobbyist for fighting for farmers and ranchers there at the State House in Kansas, and ended up being there for about 7 years. And I'd say I did just a few things right. That's when the tail end of that is when the senator called and wanted somebody to come up and head up his ag policy shop here in DC. So, I think part of the problem with the divisiveness in the country right now is people probably pay a little bit too much attention to what's going on in DC. It seems like it's consuming, all the major news media right now. And, I encourage most people to just shut it off, and, maybe watch the highlights at the end of the day or something. But that's not to take away of what we're doing up here, because it is important, and especially in the current administration. I don't want to get too terribly political, but elections do have consequences, and the amount of issues that I'm facing from a regulatory standpoint rather than a statutory standpoint right now is staggering. It's sometimes disheartening, but I guess I'm new enough up here that I'm not completely jaded by the swamp and still think I can make a difference. But it's definitely challenging up here with a lot of issues happening. For perspective, just for folks back home, I often get the question is, why doesn't the left or people in urban America get it? Why are they so different than us, and how do they see things so different? And it kind of hit me when I took a trip up to New York City. My girlfriend's from just outside the city there, and I sat and wondered how many millions of people in that city, millions, have never left the boundaries of New York City and actually came out to rural America. And you're stacked like sardines in there. You don't have any privacy, and you don't expect to have any privacy. If you forget your phone somewhere, someone's going to snatch it. So, the concept of private property rights is not real significant in urban areas. And so when you grow up with a perspective of no privacy, no property rights, and you can't even close your eyes and imagine a wheat field or, the green rolling hills of the Flint Hills, or, what cows do every day, it's hard to connect with people like that. You gotta connect on a different level, a sports team or a city-like hobby, because when you start talking about agriculture, there's just no concept. They have literal no idea, what it was like growing up on a farm, but then when you talk to them, they often think folks in rural America are ignorant, that they don't understand, equality or, environmentalism or conservation. And, we all know when farmers were the original conservationists, and we still are. And so, that's why I encourage a lot of the rural folks to keep going to the cities and talking to other people, because that's the only way we break down those barriers and try to bridge those gaps. And, don't lead with agriculture, follow up with agriculture, talk about the football game or, Patrick Mahomes being the best quarterback and Tom Brady's never going to be able to touch him.
That's divisive.
Red Kingdom.
Yep. But that, that's, I think, what we're really faced with today is, just real ignorance of agriculture.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So moving forward, where you're at right now, do you think what outside of the ignorant side of it, or the maybe like how you said that just go and visit with those people and they don't understand us and we don't understand them. Outside of that, how much of what you see in the politics today is it smoke, or is it some real stuff that a guy needs to worry about? When we talk about Ukraine and what's going on there, and I know that affects all of us. It's fixing to affect all of our bottom lines. I mean, but just in terms of that, how much of it's real and how much of it's smoke?
I'd say quite a bit of it's real, and some of it's smoke. I mean, you mentioned Ukraine. Ukraine's probably about as real as it gets. For perspective, they're the second largest country there in Europe, second only to Russia. Like over 70% of their land is tillable. They export more wheat than America does, and they export about half as much corn as America does, and huge sunflower exports and sunflower oil exports. So, and all that stuff's going through the Black Sea and then, mostly into the Middle East or over to China. But that has a real impact on the global supply and demand of commodities. And we know commodities are driven by global supply and demand. And so this war has effectively shut down all trade out of the Black Sea, all of it. There was a couple carriers that got hit by missiles. And so what shipping carrier company is going to take their ships into the Black Sea if they could potentially, have a risk of a total loss or, personnel risk and things like that. And all this will have a cascading effect. I mean, we saw what one plant fire did in Kansas to the cattle markets, right? Especially on the beef side of things, how dramatically higher the beef cutout was, basically because of that fire. And we're already seeing it in the commodities. Wheat futures hit an all-time high. Corn was dancing with an all-time high. Little known fact, a lot of the fertilizers come from Russia, Belarus, Ukraine. And so we have all-time highs in anhydrous and certain types of UAN fertilizer. And there's just this cascading effect of supply constraints in the ag industry that's driving up commodity prices and input prices. Now, awesome that we have higher commodity prices with those extra high, input costs. That'll hopefully allow farmers to weather the storm a little bit better, this year. But any other type of black swan event that can drop those commodities would be a death sentence to a lot of farms and ranches. And a little unknown fact or side of this is the national security part. Food security is national security, especially as it relates to developing countries. So Middle East, particularly Egypt, they're the largest flatbread consumers in the world. So they consume a lot of wheat. All of that wheat comes out of the Black Sea. And so the last time there was disruptions in the wheat trade with Russia, that was around like 2008 under the Obama administration. And we saw the Arab Spring. And so if the price of flatbread increases in the Middle East, you'll have instability in that region. You could see more terrorism that ultimately still affects us back here. So it's a real conflict. It's concerning. And we need to be doing everything we can to de-escalate the situation and stop that Russian aggression. As far as the administration goes, they've got some good members in staff. I've developed a lot of good relationships in the various agencies and agency departments, but it's the politicals that are running the show. And so we're seeing a lot of bad administrative decisions that's kind of locking up our commerce as well. Prime example is a federal leasing moratorium on federal lands. Well, that will increase the price of natural gas. And, guess what fertilizer is made out of? Natural gas. And so the administration isn't necessarily helping themselves in the supply chain crisis. They kind of need to set aside the politics of the left and and deal with the emergency at hand. I mean, if you kind of think back throughout history, some of the stuff they proposed, we could probably weather okay. A moratorium on oil leasing on federal lands during normal times, probably not going to increase your gas prices, that much. A little extra regulation on truckers or on manufacturers for labor, you name it, in a normal circumstances isn't going to impact people's bottom line dramatically. But you throw the COVID supply chain crisis on top of it, you throw basically the brink of World War III on top of that, you've got yourself kind of a disaster on your hands. So my encouragement is any of you folks listening in states that have, blue folks representing them, you need to be doing whatever you can to reach out to them and giving them your personal story about, the price of fertilizer and things of that nature. And I guess rounding it back to the cattle perspective, when the price of corn is $7 or $8, usually, there's not as many cattle in the feedlot. So, that's going to constrain supplies and probably good on the cattle price side of things here in the near future. But consumers probably won't like it in the grocery store. So we've always had cheap food policy, and we've always got to try to keep that balance of farm solvency, but not angry consumers because they have to pay too much for their food.
Right.
Well, guys, this has been it's lived up to all the hype that we thought it would. Okay, your old buddy Clayton Fry chime in there.
Hey, buddy.
Go Debbie.
Hey, but Greg, you've sure raised 3 great kids. It's obvious to see that. All of them did something different with their lives and affected, but all 3 of them affected agriculture in a positive way. That is for sure. So, guys, we sure do appreciate you taking time to be on Cattle Drive Live tonight. And Brett, you gonna wrap us up?
Yeah, I think I'll wrap us up. And Tucker, we need to talk. I think just visiting with you a little bit tonight, and I know that Corey and I, we know just enough about politics to be dangerous, but I think we need to figure out a way to incorporate you into this each week and maybe just get a little insight. I'm really intrigued by just obviously I know you, so that helps, but just kind of the down to earth shoot right there to the point. And we need to visit. I think there's a spot for this on here. So
maybe you can put him in that car with Kent Jenkins.
Yeah, no joke.
Little electric skater.
Yeah,
we'll let the brothers do this. I like it.
Yes,
that is my shame. So I lived about a mile north of the Russell Senate office building, and I wear the lid morning and night. But I was just close enough that I didn't need to drive, and so I bought a little electric scooter. And so every morning and every evening, you'd see me scooting by on little Black Beauty, heading up to the center or heading back to the apartment. So
with the lid, I like it. Hey, so we close every cattle, all but one, and I was ridiculed for it, but we close these things out with what we call Cattlemen's for Christ. And this last week, there's an ag teacher from down in Oklahoma, Dexter Matlock, put some stuff out on Facebook, and just something that was really hitting him. And Kevin Middleton, another guy in the ag business, responded to it, and he said that he had a spiritual advisor tell him one time that multiple times, he's been told this multiple times, that God only answers prayers 3 ways: yes, no, and wait. And he said it was really powerful because everybody wants the yes or the no, nobody wants the wait. And I just thought that was a little food for thought this week, and a little bit of direction. Sometime when you ask for somebody, you don't always get the answer you're wanting immediately. Sometimes there is a wait period. So think about that.
After talking to Tucker tonight, I think we're going to have to wait for cheaper feed prices.
I think you're right. There you go. Hey, they said that's the hard part's the wait. So guys,
start selling your manure as fertilizer.
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, seriously, thanks for taking the time for being on here. It's a pleasure. I value you guys' friendship, and I'm like, I'm going to do it again, Brig. Just check the pedigree, dude. that's my new favorite thing. But you guys, you've made an impact on multiple breeds, multiple generations, and it's something you guys should be proud of, and I know you are. So,
well, thanks for having us. This social media is an excellent outlet to, and this way people can see maybe we aren't the worst folks in the, in the business, anyhow. As we're kind of portrayed as being compared to the Duttons. So.
No, absolutely not. That was sure for fun there. So
it's not a train station near Washington County, or at least not one that I can legally talk about.
Oh man! Hey guys, thanks. We're gonna wrap this thing up. So appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.